Okay, welcome to another episode of The Accidental Entrepreneur, where if you're listening to us on your favorite podcast directory and they allow you to give us a rating, please give us a 5-star review. And if you're watching us on YouTube, be sure to subscribe and hit the like button so we can keep bringing valuable, interesting conversations to the people that need it, especially the one we're going to have today. So I want to welcome my guest, Chris Craddock. You said you're in the DC area. We're going to talk about real estate investing, all the other companies that you're involved in, and your entrepreneurial journey. And thanks for joining me today.
Absolutely. Yeah. Thanks for having me here. Looking forward to this.
Good. Well, let's go back because you mentioned in your opening that you do own 13 businesses. I'm sure you didn't start them all at the same time and going on. So I'd like to hear, when we'll go back to where you're from, how you got interested in business, entrepreneurship, what kind of training you have. Maybe it's all self-taught. I don't know, but it's your story. So you start telling it there.
Yeah. So, I graduated college in 2000. I went on staff. I just happened to actually be wearing a Young Life shirt, but I went on staff in an organization called Young Life. And, I loved it, but it was a ministry for, high school kids, and made very little money. Actually, my wife just handed me a tax return from 2004, or left it here, which is just so crazy looking at, the fact that I make way more every single month than I did in a year back then. I doubled my income by 2004, but in 2003, I was making $20,000 to $25,000 a year. Yeah. And my wife got pregnant. We wanted her to stay home, and so I just went to the library, checked out every book I could find on investing, and I read all these books about real estate investment, about flipping, and I just went out and started knocking on doors, and somehow made 12 times what I made in a year, right, in the next 4 months. And
so that was in the DC area?
Yep, that was in the DC area.
Okay, and you're just literally knocking on homeowners to buy their homes, or what were you doing?
People that were going up for foreclosure. Yeah. And just said, hey, I see you have a foreclosure date on, X date. You have a plan? And they'd be like,
no, right.
Like, you want to sell your house?
Yeah. So you would kind of get them out from under the debt, make a little bit of money in the process, and start building it from there. So then you owned the home and they were renting from you?
So I just was flipping. So it was before, I had very little money. So I was piecing together everything I had. I didn't know what I was doing as far as contracts go. So I just found a real estate agent and was like, hey, I found this guy that wants to sell. I don't know how to do it. Yeah. And you want to just split the deal? Because I think it looks like a really good deal. And, it was the first time. So I created a JV, a joint venture relationship with somebody that before I even knew what a JV relationship was.
Right.
And we split it, and it was before 2008. So we could buy a commercial loan with 5% down. So, at the time, I think the first one we bought was like $130,000. So we had to piece together like 10 grand or whatever it was
for closing costs or whatever. Right.
Yeah, exactly. And so we were able to do that, borrow, beg, and steal like everything to get 10 grand. And we made the first one, and then made another one, and then made another one. And anyway, so made a bunch of money. And then I just continued doing ministry for a while, and I've got 6 kids. So money started running out really fast. So then I got back into flipping houses, and then one thing led to another. And in December 2014 is when we started our real estate team. And then as that grew, we were able to build all these other businesses from that. Like that was the wheel that spit.
So up until then, it really wasn't formal. You were just kind of like bird dogging deals all over the place.
Just finding deals. So I did a bunch of deals early, and then I stopped because I made a bunch of money. I bought the house that we live in now. We're actually going to be able to keep this. I bought it in 2006, right? The worst time to ever buy, but this house definitely. It's going to be paid off in a year and a half, and it's worth twice as much as it was when I bought it before the biggest crash in the history of all crashes.
You bought high, and you didn't sell it, but if you sold it, probably would have been low. So.
Yeah. But then, so that was the whole thing. I took a break from all that, continued doing ministry. And then, when the money started running out, I had to do something to start making money again.
Right. And in those days, the idea was you found a homeowner who's in distress, right? You bought the property from them, got them out from under it. And then At fair market value, I assume, right? But there was equity
Not
there.
fair market.
No,
Not fair market.
no, you were buying it for like the cost of the mortgage.
Yeah, well, they were distressed, right? So
Right.
what I would do is find out how much they owed, and actually, I'll tell you what I did, but I'll tell you like the most awkward situation I've ever been in my life was the second one I bought. But I found out how much they owed, and then just said, how much do you want to walk away with on top of that? And so sometimes they say $5,000, like, which the first one, the guy said, if you can give me $5,000 in my pocket, I'm good. And I'm like, okay, well, you owe this much. Okay, done. And then my agent buddy like just drew it all up, and then we were good. The second one, it was so funny. I still remember, it's this townhouse about 20 minutes away. We go out there, and I'm sitting there, and this lady and this, I guess the husband, were sitting across the table from me. And I was like, so how much do you like, so you owe this much, how much do you want to walk away with? And she was like, so we owe X number of dollars. She's like, did I want that much money for the house? Because I don't want a cent over that, because I don't want him to get one penny out of this house.
Really?
Obviously, he had done something to.
Okay.
And so I was like, okay. So, I mean, and then I was like, everybody good with this? And he's like, literally the whole time, he's just looking at his feet. Like,
he got caught doing something, right?
Yeah. And so, I guess men, note to self, don't be that guy.
Exactly.
But yeah, that was the deal there. And then they, signed, and I made a bunch of money there. But yeah,
So
that
you
was
pay the mortgage off, you get the property cleaned up, and now there's equity there.
Yeah. And so then I just resold it, flipped the property, made a bunch of money. And then that was it, on to the next one.
Okay. So then in 2014, that was when you kind of put a team together. Where'd the team come from?
Yeah. So I'd been doing ministry all those years. So I read, I actually have I got a master's degree in theology when I was in ministry, and then I went back to school, and I always led large teams. So I actually went back to school and got a doctorate in leadership as well. And so I guess I read, somebody gave me Gary Keller's Millionaire Real Estate Agent book, and I read it, and I'm like, dang, build a team. Zig Ziglar. I've always loved Zig Ziglar's whole idea. You can have everything you want in life if you help enough other people get what they want.
Yeah, miss him. He's a great guy.
Oh, so good.
Yeah.
And so I just was like, okay, well, I know I can help people, do better. So we just created a team and started growing this team out. And
Drew Keller?
Yeah, with Keller Williams.
So you were an agent you got your real estate license, you're an agent with Keller.
Yeah. And we just started growing that out. And then from there, we opened a title company, a mortgage company, a hard money lending company, insurance company. All these different companies, like a flipping company, a holding company, they're all related to the real estate industry, right? They all kind of complement each other. And got it. Right. So you had to go. So the title company, were you just a partner in that? You had to go get your title license. No, and that was, again, I love Gary Keller. I was in his small group before I transitioned to EXP. I was in a small group of the top agents at Keller Williams. We rose really fast. And so I was able to be mentored by Gary for a while. And one of the things I remember him saying is, you can have as many businesses as you want, as long as they're all in a folder, right? And there's somebody's face that's in charge of that folder, and that face is not your face, right? So
that's a good rule.
Yeah. And so my business partner, actually, it was for title. The interesting thing was, he was an attorney building a law firm, and it was growing really fast. And we were at our church just cooking dinner for the young adults. And we just started talking about title. And he's like, hey, you want to open a title company? I was like, yeah, let's do it. So then we opened a title company, and, my team is doing so many transactions now that it just basically.
You write your own title, basically.
Yeah, it paid for everything. And then we could build it from there, right? It's a lot easier when you're not running for your life to pay the bills to start a company, right? When you already have a baseline of revenue. So that was really, really great. And then, one thing led to another, and that was it.
So basically, people shouldn't have their wife quit their job and then have no money and then run around knocking on doors trying to find deals to do. You probably didn't sleep a lot in those days.
I'll just say this: lead with revenue. Lead with revenue. That is the whole key in life. So many people, they think that they're going to do great, and they spend all this money. I mean, I just was talking to a buddy of mine who, spent $50,000 on a Salesforce and $5,000 a month on a Salesforce subscription for a CRM, when literally a $200 a month CRM
Right.
and just totally fine. But they were building this thing for what they wanted to be. But I'm like, lead with revenue, man. Bring in the dollars and then upgrade.
Right.
Do that.
Yeah, I told you that I interviewed a guy before this who used to be in the DC area, and he's in real estate, different side of the business, but same thing. And he had a job at the time, and he did the real estate. He built up his equity, and he started building up cash. So he didn't go into this thing, and he had a strategic plan and slowly migrated out into what he's doing. But yeah, I mean, you come to look, it's great to go to these seminars and they're like, no money down. You can do it with other people's money. You can flip. Okay, that's fine if you're young and you're working your ass off, but you can't do that forever. And it's very risky.
Yeah. No, I mean, and I get it. Mark Cuban, lived in his car for a little while, right? Like, I get it.
Doesn't mean you should do that. It just means he had to do it, right? He didn't do it by choice.
Right. Right.
Yeah. All right. So I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, that's it.
No, I was going to say, so we're in 2014. So when did you start building these other companies? Did it just happen over the years as you acquired more real estate and flipped and did different things?
Yeah. So, we continued to flip properties. I continued to pick up real estate. So one of the things, if you're a real estate professional, there are some massive tax benefits to holding on to real estate. You can take all of your depreciation or the majority of your depreciation in year one with the cost segregation, which a lot of people don't realize. So you
started doing cost seg too. Okay.
Oh, yeah. A lot of people don't realize you can do that as a real estate professional. And so, when I have like CPAs saying, hey, buy more properties and you'll be able to keep like, $20,000 to $40,000 of that property that you would have paid to Uncle Sam, just keep it now. I'm like, oh man. So it just like all these little pieces just started coming together, and all that happened as I joined masterminds. I worked hard to level up and network with other high business minded friends, because every single time you're hanging with people that are further along than you are, or people that are really
you're gonna soar, right? I mean,
absolutely.
Hang out with turkeys and you'll go the other direction.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And it's a lot about networking and building relationships, and what you learn is who you know and who you meet along the way.
The first mastermind I ever joined, right? It cost, what did it cost? Something like, it's like 18 grand a year is like the total for it or whatever. But that first year I can attribute, over $250,000 in top line revenue, just because of the ideas and the information that I learned from that. And I just realized it's a game changer, right? Show me your friends, I'll show you your future.
Right. Absolutely. Just, I know I don't want to get too off track, but just for people listening, if we can explain quickly what cost segregation is. I mean, I know what it is, and it applies only to commercial properties. So you can't do it on a residential building that you own. Well, I guess if you're a passive investor, you can, right?
Well, any
investment property, you just appreciating the systems in the house, right?
Yeah, if you're you can do it. Yeah, you can do it on I'm doing them on residential. So the 2017 tax code, it changed so that any property where the structure itself is worth less than $500,000, you can do a desktop. And I think it has to be an engineer, but an engineer can do a desktop cost seg on that property,
which makes it less expensive. In the past, you do a $500,000 property, it wasn't worth the money it would cost to do cost seg. And so let's explain what cost segregation is and how it affects depreciation. Sure.
Yeah. Basically, there's the government decided that the life of all the materials inside of a property is about 27 and a half years. Right. Which, we don't need to get into why they decided 27 and a half years, but basically that you will fully depreciate your the interior, the property of the home over 27 and a half years.
Which is very long, and you don't get a lot of tax benefits.
Yeah. I mean, present day value money versus like over 27 and a half years, like it's just not that much. But if you were to take almost all of it, now it's not all of it, but the majority of it in year one, which is an accelerated depreciation where an engineer values the value of everything so that you can take it all in year one.
Right.
Yeah. If you are a real estate professional, you can take it against both active and passive income. If you're not a real estate professional, you can only take it against passive income.
So it's an exception just for real estate professionals?
Yeah. And that doesn't mean real estate agent. It just means somebody that I think it's 750 hours a year
that you're
on real
investing in the real estate business, investing, running, managing properties, whatever it is.
Yeah, reading about real estate and like educating yourself. So there's, I mean, the bar is super low on that. And so, yeah, so you can take that. And there was a book called Tax Free Wealth that I read that was just massive in my understanding of like, oh my gosh, it's not about being like super aggressive with your taxes or super, conservative with your taxes. It's about finding people that understand the tax code and telling you that the government gives you incentives to do certain things. And
it's not illegal. It's not aggressive. It's not in a gray. Cost segregation is, So just so people know, what basically you're doing is you're segregating out the different systems in the building. Might be the HVAC system, maybe the windows, maybe the flooring, maybe the roof. And those things don't get depreciated over 27 and a half years. They get depreciated on their own schedule. So HVAC system might be, 8 years, another one might be 6 years. And that what accelerates all the depreciation into your first few years.
Yeah. And that's why you can essentially in year one, I mean, you're looking at like just a massive amount of money on the property. So to be able to do it from a desktop, if the structure, so maybe you buy a $700,000 house, like maybe it's a single family, but if the land is worth more than 200,000, so that the structure is worth 500 or less, you can do it from a desktop. And then you're looking at paying somewhere between $500 and $600 to have
the appraisal that you need. Right. Oh, so the land gets deducted, right? Because you only depreciate the building.
Right. So it's powerful. I mean, literally, I'll save, multiple six figures a year just on purchasing properties and then cost segs. It's just really, really super powerful. And then it forces you to buy,
reinvest.
Right.
Yeah. Because if you take money that you earn and you buy a property, that's not deductible. That's a capital expense. So you're buying the building, you still pay the tax on the income. You can only do it on the net. But if you actually can cost seg and use the government's money as part of the investment in the building, just keep rolling it over.
Yeah. And then here's the crazy thing, because I'm a real estate agent. And if you become a real estate agent and you market off market, you can take your cost seg, you find off market properties where people are selling at a discount, and you just say, okay, you want $300,000? Great. I'm going to, I know the property's worth, 400, 450, whatever it is. I'm going to have a high commission on here, and then have the broker sign off so that commission can be credited towards your down payment, right? So you get money towards the down payment and you get your cost segregation, which essentially means you can buy a house with almost no cash at all out of pocket. And as long as you're buying at the right price, you'll be, almost no cash out of pocket, and you'll be making money on the property, every month. Somebody will be paying it down for you.
Right.
You'll be, anyway.
It's the magic of real estate, right?
Yeah. It's incredible.
If you learn what you're doing. Yeah. What was I going to mention? You just sent something. Oh yeah. So you said you find these off-market distressed properties. Well, they're distressed probably because of some situation in the person's life, right? They're in foreclosure, getting divorced, some other issues going on, right? So it's not that the property, if it's 300,000, it's worth 450. It's not worth 450 until you clean up that problem, whatever it happens to be, right?
Not always. I mean, there's a situation right now that I'm aware of where they've got a lien against their house that they've had for a long time, and they have about a week to settle that lien, which they don't have the cash to settle it. It's about $76,000, which they don't have that cash to settle it, or it'll go to foreclosure, right? And so, so somebody just brought it to me and said, hey, if you have this $76,000 in cash, we could do a sale. Well, they'll sell at an extreme discount, but it'll be much better than them losing their property to foreclosure. So I get a good deal. I get a great deal, and they don't lose their property foreclosure. So even though it doesn't feel like a win, it's selling at a discount. It's definitely a win compared to the alternative. So, that's why distressed properties are great, because if you saw the people who make the most money are the people that solve the most problems. And so if I'm solving the problem that puts it into distress, then that's the deal. But then there's also houses that are in such bad condition that, there's mold in the house, the roof is
Right.
falling in, a tree fell on it.
So you have a company that does all that stuff. Cleans them up.
Well, I do have a construction company as well, but my construction company doesn't do our own stuff. They do more high-end stuff.
Got
So
it.
I have some contractors that do
You
stuff
just bring
for me.
in, you said, I don't want my people going breathing mold. You can breathe the mold. Right. You just, now, was that by design because there's not a lot of money in fixing up the house? It's better to subcontract them, get them done and flip it. And there's more money in your company doing higher end stuff. What was the thought about that?
Yeah, as far as construction's concerned, I mean, I'll just tell you the margins on a bathroom or a bathroom or a kitchen are about 50%. And
Okay.
so high-end bathroom, you're looking at like a master bathroom anywhere from $50,000 to $80,000, right? Like even $100,000. And with 50% margins, that's awesome. On fix and flip, on the deals that I'm fixing and flipping, I want speed. I'm not looking for high end. I'm not looking like for a homeowner that's paying $80,000 for a bathroom. We still want to do it quickly, but you want to do it well where they say, wow. For a flip, you want to do it quick and efficiently. And so that's the key, so it's a different skill set.
Got it. Oh, it makes sense. It makes sense. Since you told me a story before about something where you were in a situation, what are a few like mistakes you felt you made along the way and learned from them that you wouldn't do again?
Man, I mean, where do we start, right?
I mean, yeah, people make mistakes. That's why I like to share stories. That's part of. I think you learn more making mistakes than if you did it right.
Yeah, I'd say one is lead with revenue, right?
That was a good one.
There's a book that I read that I thought was really incredible. It's called Thinking in Bets from a professional poker player. And the whole idea, did you ever play any Texas Hold'em?
Yeah, a little bit, not regular.
All right. So like, I'm not a great poker player, but I've played a bunch with my buds. Right. And, a 7-2 offsuit is probably one of the worst hands that you can get in poker. Right. Okay. But if you play the 7-2 offsuit, every once in a while, you're going to win. Right. You're 2 sevens are going to drop, two deuces are going to drop and you're going to have 3 of a kind and you're going to win the hand. Well, the whole idea behind it is sometimes there's just luck. And if we get lucky in an area and then build a business around a losing hand, I think we get hurt really badly. And I think that's what a lot of entrepreneurs do, because entrepreneurs have to be optimistic. Otherwise they would never start a business when the failure rate is like 70% of a new business. Like there's no way we would start businesses if we weren't optimistic, right? And didn't believe we could defy the odds. So the reality is we do something, and I did this. We bought some DC development properties and made really good money in spite of ourselves, but I didn't realize it was in spite of ourselves. And so we went massively big, bought a ton. Like I got myself into $10 million worth of debt owed. Honestly, we realized we just were not doing it well. It was not systematic. We couldn't get out of these very fast and legitimately almost lost everything. Thankfully, the real estate market was still pretty strong back then. Otherwise, like if we were in today's market, which has a more downward trend,
if you were hitting 07, 08, where things just crapped out, it would have been done.
I would have been bankrupt. But thankfully it was going up. So as we were holding it longer, even though we were paying lots of money for this every single month, the market was kind of solving some of the problems. So, it ended up costing me almost $1 million, $660,000 for me personally, not including my partners, to get out of these things. But Jim Collins calls it the hubris born of success. So that was that whole idea that, we had a little bit of success. Even though we weren't playing a winning hand, we thought it was a winning hand. And so then we could make everything. And so we went big and then got ourselves into trouble.
So what's the lesson there that you have to, what is the lesson?
I think I know the lesson. The lesson is make sure your lead, get the revenue, make sure, evaluate what you're doing, make sure that it wasn't just a lucky one-off, like a 7-2 offsuit. And then once you have proven the system, you can nail it and then scale it. Right. And
stick to your system.
Yeah. If you have a little pile of crap that you don't realize is a polished up turd,
and you make it a bigger turd.
Yeah. Then you got all these piles of turd everywhere, and then you're in trouble, right? And so just make sure that it's, you know what you have, and you're not like just scaling a big polished turd.
Right. Believing that you could build it and they would come and just go in all kinds of debt, right?
Exactly. I think that's the biggest piece is make sure that's the deal. Because you got to be an optimist. Like for a 70% failure rate of business, you got to be an optimist to start, right? And even the champion, right? I posted this on social media the other day. You know, the champion gets knocked down, but the champion just continues to get up, which proves why he's the champion, right? So like that whole idea is like, you're going to get knocked down. Does that mean you're doing the wrong thing? Does that mean you need to adjust?
Got to evaluate. Right. Yeah. Well, I think if you went and really dug into failures of businesses, it wouldn't be 70%. There would be a group of people. The reason that out of the 30%, they're successful for a reason, because like you said, they lead with revenue, they plan things, they put in systems. They don't just go with their gut and say, oh, this is going to be great because they're all right brain. We're all so optimistic about everything, which to our detriment sometimes. And the ones that plan and, strategically do it out, they don't all get lucky like you did. Some of them get wiped out. I mean, I've seen real estate companies that were so highly leveraged thinking that they could do everything that, the wave crashed and they're done. And they had to, they have to negotiate their way out of millions of dollars of debt with banks, sign over properties and start over. And I do know some guys that have lost it and built it up and lost it, built it up again. I know guys that have sold it, and then the guys that sold it to lost it and then they bought it back, stuff like that. But I think that's a good point. What you're saying is that the lesson is that 70% doesn't apply to everybody. You know what I'm saying? It's just that's a statistic that you can avoid if you are more methodical and more careful about what you do and take, calculated risks. Is that a better?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, way to say it. Yeah. So do you own properties just in your area, or you got deals in other parts of the country?
I own one property that's like 2.5 hours away. And I didn't really want to buy it, but I kept telling everybody else, this is a great deal, but nobody took me up on it because it was far away. And so I bought it. And I mean, the numbers were incredible, right? I bought it for $58,000. Most of my properties are much higher dollar. Bought it for $58,000. I put 35 into it or 38 into it. And it appraised for $215,000. So I called the bank and I said, hey, will you give me a loan for $150,000? I got I think they ended up giving me, because it was out of their service area, it was a little less of a debt to income. So they gave me a loan for $137,000, right? So I made more money to own this property. And now it's cash flowing about $700 a month. So I'm cash flowing by a lot. They gave me the money. So what was it, like almost 50 grand, something like that, 50 grand more than what I put into it. And because that is a refinance, it's not a taxable event. So that 50 grand was non-taxed. So
you have no money in the deal. What's your return? $700 a month on a zero investment.
Infinite return.
Infinite.
Tell me that's better.
You can't even measure it. Yeah, you can't even measure. So that was a deal you did yourself. You do most of your deals with partners, with investors?
Most of the deals I hold on to more because my wife likes the idea of keeping just having it in the family. The ones we hold, we're mainly doing that there. But I'm at a point right now where we're looking at doing some bigger deals, which, I'll partner with some other folks. But right now it's just all.
It's always been you.
Yeah.
But you said you have a flipping company too. So you don't always hold on to, you only hold on to profits going to cash flow.
I keep the best, flip the rest.
Got it. And you have guys that manage them for you and you're going around, or you use company, outside company? No, you have a whole team.
Yeah. We got the team and everybody.
How many employees do you have?
My retail real estate team, I've got 42 agents that work for me. And then, just across all the different businesses.
Those are salespeople. They have nothing.
Those are salespeople. And then I got something like 19 back office folks for the retail team. We just got people in all the different businesses. I think overall, we're verging on right around 100 people in our organization right now.
And is it a lot of it's virtual, or do you have like an office where everybody is?
We have an office, but almost everything's virtual. Like after COVID, I thought I'm a big like family. I'm a massive extrovert, so I like to be around. And so I didn't think that we could create good culture and not be in person. But after COVID, I realized you could do that. So yeah, we're all virtual.
Yeah, I think if we didn't have tools like this, like Zoom and stuff, I don't think it would have worked. But the fact that we're all connecting and able to see each other, things are visual in our life, I think companies are finding that work at home. I think work at home sometimes is a detriment to the people that are doing the work. You're working more, you're more available. You get home, you get your kids from school, you come back, got to make dinner, but you still have a call at 6 o'clock at night and you got stuff you got to do. And I got clients think I'm available 24 hours a day. No offense to them. I'm not. Weekends are with my, generally with my family. I have to do some stuff, but I don't. Yeah, I try to avoid, because I think at one point, I'm sure you were like this too, just working all the time, right?
Yeah.
You're driven, you're trying to build, but then after a while, you realize that you need some downtime. You need to kind of, rejuvenate yourself, and it doesn't really affect your productivity. As a matter of fact, it probably drives up your productivity.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I'm a Christian guy, right? Like, God created the world in 6 days and rested on the seventh, right? Like, I think our bodies are created. We need that downtime. Now, I would say I'm one that struggles to take the downtime because I enjoy working and I enjoy doing it, but I'm always fighting that balance to,
Yeah. No, it's like you can't go to the gym and work out every day. You got to let your body recuperate.
100%.
Because you're going to hurt yourself.
Right.
That's how people have strokes and stuff like that. They work themselves to death. Seriously. Yeah. Because they don't realize the stress they're putting on the body. Absolutely. Absolutely. All right. So what does the future hold for you guys? What are your plans with company, the future, things like that? What's your strategic planning that's going on?
Well, a couple things. So our Redux team, we've now expanded into a number of different markets: Cleveland, Pittsburgh, Orlando. We're already in Richmond and Baltimore, as well as the DC area.
That's the real estate, the sales side of real estate.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, and you say you're with EXP now. You're not with Keller anymore.
Yeah, we moved over to EXP, and that's the other piece. Like I did ministry for a long time. I coached high school soccer forever. I coached high school golf. I love coaching. I love helping people, which, is part of why I think our team has grown, because we lead with value. But yeah, with the EXP front, the cool thing is that we get to just be a network the way they created their business. We get to be a network with real estate agents all across the country. Anybody that wants to build a investing based retail business where they're investors and they also have, regular retail deals to buy and sell for clients. We partner with people and help just add fuel to their fire. And it's cool because the way EXP did it, it's like a virtual brokerage where, we just partner with each other, and any of the brokerage fees, it gets split, and there's a big opportunity for anybody that wanted to partner there. So yeah, if anybody's in real estate and has any interest in discussing how that plays out, I would love to have the conversation with you.
All right, super. Have you got any books that you have written, working on?
I've got a couple that I really anyway, I've got a couple things that I'm toying with, but I haven't written any at this point. So no.
All right, so I'll have to watch for that one.
Fair enough.
Okay, so what's the best way for people to interact with you? Is it on LinkedIn, social media, your website?
Yeah, so Instagram is one of the best ways. I've got a whole old high school cheesy nickname that's my handle, so it's not my last.
We'll put all the links in the show notes. So
cool, at Craddock. But if you send me a DM, I'll personally reply. So many people were so generous with their time. Sure. And so yeah, anybody that wants some help, or anybody that I could just connect with that would be a good connection, please feel free to reach out to me. That's great. Or yeah, any of the other places. My website, my name, chriscraddock.com, or Chris Craddock Official on TikTok.
Okay, Chris, I think we'll leave it there. You gave a lot of advice and a lot of good recommendations. We learned a little bit about what you're doing, who you are. And I thank you for joining me. Is it still this morning? No, it's just afternoon. So I thank you for joining me today.
It's been awesome. Thanks for having me on the show.